In this video, you'll learn a meta framework to continue to help guide your ongoing behavior changes that might be connected to your well-being, your resilience, and your performance. It goes by the acronym CRIME, which stands for Cultivate, Regulate, Integrate, Mitigate, and Experiment. You'll learn how to identify and leverage each of the areas in this framework. To help her navigate some of the ongoing pressures of high performance, Becky started to leverage the CRIME framework and applied it to her life. She started with cultivating what's good and feels good. And for her, that means more time with friends and family. She really focused on regulating what often feels good but is bad for her. And in this case, that's substances like caffeine, sugar, and cannabis. She started to integrate what feels bad but usually is good for her. She's consistently doing cold plunges to raise her dopamine levels even though it's miserable. And she's mitigating what both feels bad and is bad for her by really paying closer attention to some of her really toxic and unpleasant relationships, both in sport and in life. Last but not least, she's experimenting with levels of hydration, with food intake, with her amount of recovery versus performance. She's experimenting with different techniques that can help her with visualization or mindfulness or well-being in general. She's really treating herself as an N of one, an experiment unto herself. If you ultimately want to have the most control possible over your well-being, your performance, your resilience, then you need to be willing to really work on yourself, and that means often experimenting on yourself. What does work? What does help you feel the best? What does help you perform at your best? What does that synergy look like? We suggest applying the CRIME framework to just help guide that work. That stands for C, for cultivating things that feel good and are good. R, for regulating things that feel good but are maybe not so good for you. I, for integrating things that feel bad but actually pretty good for you. And M, for mitigating things that feel bad and are bad. And then E, for experiment. Right, running the ongoing process of finding what works.